If you try to grow tomatoes, beans, or cucumbers in the wrong place, you're going to end up with more disappointment than homegrown food. So rather than wonder at the end of the season, what went wrong? We are going to pick the ideal spot for your garden. Hi, I'm Amy Landers with GardensThatMatter.com, where we offer classes and community to help you grow. Because we believe gardens are the key to better food, a better life, and a better planet. Your garden's location is an important factor in your success or failure. And so choosing this location is going to matter. This is especially important for new gardeners, but also handy if you're an experienced gardener and looking to expand or add new garden beds. We are going to move fast in this video, so if you want to dig in on the details or get a written step-by-step plan, I do have a free guide for you, a printable PDF available on our website. We'll put the link in the description, or you can find it at GardensThatMatter.com/location. And it really goes into more depth on these different elements of location. So first, we are going to create a simple map of your site. Now, a map can be a simple hand-drawn sketch. You can get out your ruler and your tape measure and do a detailed scale drawing. And what I like to do is somewhere in the middle. I use free tools to get a satellite photo and use that to understand the relative size and spacing of important parts of our landscape. So let's head inside to the computer. So on your computer, you're going to go to maps.google.com. It'll open Google Maps, and then you want to turn on layers. You want the satellite layer showing. Then you can type in your address or zoom into it. I've already got one here that I've zoomed into that we're using today, this site. One note here is that Google Maps generally has north up on your screen, at least on the desktop version, so that's useful to know. So once you have your site zoomed in on Google Maps as large as you can make it to fill the screen, you're going to do a screenshot. On a Mac, that is Command-Shift-4, and that lets you select what you want to get a screenshot of. On a PC, it might be print screen or something similar. I would do a Google search to figure that out. Next, open a Google document. I've got this one open. You're going to insert your image, insert image, upload from computer. Usually these are going to show up on your desktop as the kind of the default place for screenshots to get saved. Now we want to get our image set up by doing File, Page Setup, and make your margins small. And depending on the shape of your site, you can do a portrait view or a landscape view. But we just want to get this map as big as we can on the page. Next, I am going to open up Image Options, which is up here at the top, Image Options. And running down through these, size and rotation, you do want lock aspect ratio on. For text wrapping, we want it in front of text. For position, we want a fixed position on page. For recolor, you can make it black and white if you want to, not required. And then for adjustments, we are going to change the opacity, but we're going to do that very last so we can see what we're working with here. Now we are able to move this image anywhere on the screen. We can overlap our printable margins, no problem. It'll just only print what's printable. Then we're going to make it as big as we can. And you may also want to rotate the image on the screen. In this case, I would like this fence line to be straight across the top of the page, because I think it will let me get my image just a little bit bigger, because this site is a little bit triangular. So I'm going to keep going until I have that fence line pretty straight. And then I can expand the image even further to really fill the page. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And now adjustments, I like to set it about 30. We want enough to be able to see the major features when we print it, but not so much that it's too busy for us to use when we're drawing on it. All right, now we're print. Once you have your map, you're going to come on back outside, bring a clipboard or some sort of hard surface, a book, and then you need 3 colors of pencils or markers. You need a regular one, gray or black. You need a light colored one that you can use to highlight areas that are good. And then we're also going to use a darker color to highlight areas that are not so good. And I'm going to walk you through all of this. In gray or black, you're going to outline the buildings and then the major features in your yard, the things that really don't move or change. It might be the property line, the fence line, a road, a sidewalk, a driveway, large trees. All of those things are great to mark on your map. The other thing you want to add to your map with your gray or black pencil is a compass rose. And so that's going to show your directions. So you know which way is north if you used a satellite photo, because Google Maps shows north up on the screen. So for me, that's over here, north. And then you'll just fill it in. North, east, south, and west. Never eat soggy worms.
Never eat soggy worms.
All right, so you've got that on here. That's going to help us understand the sun in a moment. So when we're out here looking in our gardens, there's 5 big elements that we want to consider for choosing our garden location. And that is convenience, water, sun, movement, which I'll explain more in a moment, and soil. Now, we won't get into soil in this video. It's kind of a big topic, really important. So definitely go get that free PDF because it has some simple soil tests you can do at home. But we're going to go over these other 4 elements because that's where we start to figure out where to put the garden. Let's start with convenience. With your light color, you are going to put some highlights any place on your map that you go every day or multiple times a week. Convenience is really the most important factor in choosing your garden's location. If you put your garden in a convenient spot, you're going to see it more often, you're going to notice thirsty plants or pests, and you'll get to eat that ripe fruit more often. You'll see it right away and you'll get to enjoy it. So highlight the areas you walk past every day. Sidewalks, driveways, mailbox. If you have chickens, going to and from the chicken coop. Other convenient areas might be near your patio or a barbecue or a kid's play area. The next important factor is water. So you're going to highlight with that light color your water sources. Most likely this is a spigot with a hose, but if you need to carry water from the house, it would be kind of the area close to the house, the door. If you have a rain barrel, you could use that. Highlight around the rain barrel because you can water from there. So highlight those areas where it's easy to get water to. Next, we're going to think about sun. We want to look at our land and think about how the sun moves across it. It's going to rise in the east, it's going to set in the west. If you are in the northern hemisphere, the sun is going to move across the southern sky. And in the winter, it moves lower. In the summer, it's going higher across the sky. If you're in the southern hemisphere, the sun moves across the northern sky. So think about where the sun moves in your yard. You maybe haven't even noticed this before, but you will now. Right? Every time you go outside, you'll be like, oh yeah, look, there it is. And now you are going to use your dark color to start shading in the shady spots. So again, in the northern hemisphere, that would be the north side of a building, the north side of a really big tree. Just going to shade in the spots that are shady. You can do some solar tracking, kind of look at what's happening in your yard early in the morning, midday, late in the afternoon, if you want to really understand this more. But for now, we're gonna fill in the spots we know are shady. The reason we're doing this is we are looking for the sunny spots. We know that plants that are producing fruits and vegetables need 8+ hours of sun to have enough energy to produce well. In those shadier spots, there's other things you can grow. The PDF has some ideas for you. But in our garden, perfect garden spot, we're gonna get 8+ hours of sun. If you live in an arid climate, you might also shade out areas that get a ton of sun. So if it gets really harsh western sun, where it's just baking in the afternoon, that's an area you probably won't want to put your garden in. So you might also kind of do cross hatching there. Even though it's not shady, it's not going to be ideal. So you're kind of marking it out on your map with your dark color. Our 4th factor is going to be movement. And in our yards, in our gardens, things move through. Things like water move through. Things like wind, the sun we've talked about already. And then we also have animals moving through. Dogs on their dog path where they just always run the same path. You don't want to put your garden there. Kids probably have kid paths. Don't want to put your garden where it'll get trampled. You can think about water and shade out any areas that have a lot of water runoff where a garden might erode, or standing water that really sits there after a rain. Those are not going to be good spots. Shade them out. You can think about the wind. Is there any place on your yard that is like extra windy? Shade it out. You can also think about pollution. So for example, I probably wouldn't put my garden, a few feet from a road because there's going to be runoff from the road. So shade out any areas that might have pollution moving across them. Are there any other problem areas that you want to shade out? Use your dark color, maybe a steep hill or a big rock. And there you have it, a colorful map of your yard. You've done some great observing, and you are going to choose a spot that's in a highlighted or near a highlighted area. You're going to avoid the shaded areas. I've got two here near the kids area, kids play area, and the front yard. A beautiful front garden would be amazing for this house. And so now you've got some really good locations. I will suggest that you get our guide and do a simple soil test to make sure you've got good drainage, and then you're going to get started. If you have multiple spots, go ahead and choose one. You can't go wrong here. Gardening is an experiment, it's a learning process. You are going to learn the most by getting out there and doing it. At gardensthatmatter.com, we are happy to support you in your gardening journey, so come on over, join our community. We'd love to have you inside. And until I see you again, happy gardening.